Hi everyone, Angus Campbell here, Monday the 24th of Feb 2020. Right, some additional clutch cables have arrived, and some of you who have been following the A70 750 Lightning may recollect that recently we had fun and games over a cable allegedly being the right part number but being too short, so we had to tentatively order one replacement to make sure we'd got the right one, and we were successful in that. So following that, I then ordered another couple of cables, and they've arrived this morning, and they are actually original reproductions from some time ago. I don't recognise that, but made in England. The worrying thing then is that part number isn't correct. It should be 608033, 607033, I think, off the top of my head. So these were labelled as the correct part number, and in fact the bag that cable came out of is labelled BSA Twins 1970 on, which is a bit worrying because we really want 71 on. Anyway, first check looks quite promising, because what I've done is again dug out the original short cable and compared it to the free length, let's get that right, of the cable that's just arrived, and it's over an inch longer, so I think we're going to be okay. You can see it's got a little surface rust, so these are original cables from some time back. But anyway, it does mean that we can oil this up and get it on. So what I've done is I've now put a clutch push rod into the Fury and ensured the adjuster is correct at this end, so that the actuation lever on the other side is fully down, so you've got an efficient actuation. And what we'll do then is fit that cable on the other side, which is exactly the same process as the 650 Twins. Cable goes in the top here with its built-in adjuster, and inside the inspection cap here we've got to hook it onto the lever arm, and effectively, looking this way around, the lever arm is pointing down like so, and the small adjuster on the pressure plate on the other side is adjusted so that that lever is as far low down as possible. You've taken up all the slack so that you've got an efficient lever action when you pull the cable in that direction. And I say sometimes what happens is that the adjustment on the clutch pressure plate forces the arm through too much when the lever at this end is not further right at the bottom, so you don't get the full action on the cable, and also you get some sort of clicking sound when the balls are at the full extent of the ramps inside, the balls on the ramps that actually push the plate forward onto the rod, onto the push rod. So we'll fit that cable now, and fingers crossed it's going to be the correct length. It looks good, obviously to ensure we can get it through the adjuster at the top here and into the nipple into the lever. Right, we'll get cracking with that and I'll bring you back shortly. Right, some success. Cable installed on the far side and onto the actuator, and all adjusted up so that the clutch works and the plate comes out relatively evenly. This one at the top is dragging a little, but it was a little bit tight, so hopefully that will just even up slightly with use. I couldn't find anything obvious that was going to be too detrimental to it. But we're not quite there yet because the cable's too long. So we've got, it's probably about 6 inches too long. So 2 steps forward, 1 back. But what it does mean is that obviously we've been able to test out the actuator mechanism and the clutch actuation, which is good. And it does mean that we've got everything adjusted up correctly at this end with respect to the length of the push rod, which is primarily what that's for, just to take up the slack in the push rod. So that means then we can finish off the primary side now and get the cover on down there. So next job, as well as ordering up more cables, is to make up a gasket for this side. We'll get the cover on, make sure that fits properly, and then we'll mark up to drill this case for the engine plate on this side, and that will then allow us to fit obviously the footrest, but also rear brake lever, brake arm, adjuster mechanism, etc. There's quite a lot going on down here, so we'll be able to crack on with that. So we've made some progress. As always, not 100%, but anyway, we're getting there. So let's continue on, and we'll get this gasket made up for that cover down there. Right, the way that I'm going to attack this, and the way that I normally do it is, first of all, I'll with a pencil I'll just mark out the exterior border of the cover, and I'll cut then the piece out to the outer edges with scissors, and then what I'll do is I'll turn the cover over and I'll punch out the mounting holes for it, and I'll secure the gasket to the cover with probably half the screws, and then I'll cut out the inner border with, you know, a sharp Stanley knife and just follow it round, and that's how I usually create these. So first things first, mark out with a pencil and cut the outer border, and at least then we've got a piece we can work with that isn't too unwieldy. Right, that's the basic template cut out, and I'm pretty pleased with that. I've missed one tang down there, as you can see, but actually there's plenty of meat there, so I'm going to complete this as a test and we'll see how we go. But other than that, yeah, fairly pleased with that. So what we'll do now, what I tend to do now is I use a ball peen hammer to tap on this side, and that will on the reverse side of the mounting holes, and that will then give us an indentation, which we can then use to punch out the holes, and that will enable us then to mount this gasket up on the cover and then trim the inner face. So just to show you what you end up then is with a nice pressed shadow, if you like, of the hole itself. I should hasten to add that I don't hammer with the ball peen hammer, I just press, and actually I've got one here with that handle, so I just use that, if you like, as my forming tool for that. And what we'll do is I do have some spacers with very thin sharpened ends. They're actually like locating dowels effectively, and we'll use a locating dowel to cut that out with a slight circular motion. Right, I actually modified my technique. Actually, all I did was I put a short screw, clamped it in some mole grips, and because this what they call flex oil resistant jointing paper is quite resilient, you can use the backside of the case to act as your former, and as long as you hold the paper in position fairly well, you can then just gently press and twist the Allen screw on the end of the mole grips and gently push through, and it will form the hole pretty readily, which it's done quite nicely. And then just trim off the tab that forms on the back of that with scissors. So that's gone on pretty well, and I've just left some short Allen screws in there of the right diameter to ensure that now stays in position, because what I'll do is I'll use the Stanley, find the inside edge, and then gradually work my way around with a very sharp Stanley, very gently, to make sure it doesn't move. But we should be alright with that, and I'll bring you back once that's done. And there you go, job done. So with a reasonably sharp Stanley knife, it took 5 or 10 minutes to carefully go around the inner surface, just making sure that I held on to the gasket gently in areas away from the mounting holes. But that all worked pretty well, so I'm pleased with that. So the only slight error was not cutting out the border around that hole there, but there's plenty of meat on there to seal it, so I'm not worried about that. So I'm going to actually use this. Other than that, I've managed to do it all without a break, and with the holes pretty well formed. If I can get one out without damaging it, which I can't. There we go. It's coming. Bear with me a sec. There we go. There. Like so. So yeah. All good. So right, let's get out the silicone sealer, because I always just put a very thin smear on either side of the gasket. Just make sure the surfaces are clean on this end, and then we'll fit the cover. It's all looking pretty good actually, because remember, all this lot has been in the ultrasonic cleaner anyway originally. So we'll just check to make sure there aren't any additional burrs, but that surface does look very good. Let's check the other side, underside. Yeah, but anyway, we'll wipe that down with a clean bit of towel, and then we'll get the cover on. Okay. Right, we're in position, a bit of a close-up, but yeah, I've checked out the mating surface, all clean, no burrs, etc. Also made sure that the primary chain is tenched up. We could do that afterwards, of course, because the tension and lock nut are on the exterior. But yeah, ready to go. Gasket all flat and ready to go. So first of all, we'll smear up on this side and place the gasket on that in position, and that'll be ready then for the cover. Okay, gasket on, secured in place with a smear of silicone on its reverse side, and now just put a very thin smear on this side, and we'll get the cover on and nipped up. All the screws are Phillips, UNC Phillips, except for the two front studs here, which are chrome dome nuts. So we've got all the parts ready to go down there, 2 washers, and we'll get this cover on. Okay, on and all buttoned up. Needs a bit more bully, but anyway, a success. Sorry about the flashing lights behind. I've got a fluorescent tube or a starter that's on its way out, so I'll have to change that out. But slight issue with the cable, but we can change that at a future date. We can change that without taking this cover off, just by doing it from the other side. So that's it, job done. So we'll probably leave it there for this episode actually, and when we come back for the next one, we'll concentrate on the rear engine plate and all the gubbins that go around there. So we'll call it that for now. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. Thanks for your interest, comments and any subscriptions, and I'll see you all again soon. Cheers everyone, bye bye.